What a game. Valiant effort by the shorthanded Celtics, but they fall in Milwaukee, 127-121. Welcome in here to Celtics Postgame Live, presented by your New England Ford dealers. We got Big Perk with us. We got Chris Forsberg. I am Abby Chin. Gentlemen, let's start big picture. So the Celtics lose. Philadelphia also lost in Toronto. So still a jumbled mix. Still don't know what's going to happen postseason, Chris.
Right, but we feel a little bit more confident that as long as the Celtics win on Sunday, they can guarantee themselves no worse than third in the Eastern Conference. I'm already mixed up at the start of the show. And if they do that, then they're lining themselves up for a potential first-round matchup with the 6th seed, which is likely going to be the Chicago Bulls. So, look, I thought tonight was really cool because, yet again, just like up in Toronto, the Celtics go out there shorthanded and give it their all against a very good team that had something to play for and showed a lot of grit and kept a little bit of the momentum that they've had during this whole thing. So I think there's a lot of positives to pluck from this. And now it just becomes the game, right? Like, you're going to watch what happens. You'll know where Milwaukee stands going into Sunday. You'll get to see where Philadelphia exactly is, and you figure out how you want to play it on Sunday against Memphis. But a little bit closer to maybe avoiding all the obstacles that you could potentially run into in the postseason.
Perk, the confidence and the swagger we saw tonight from this Celtics team.
Yeah, and Abby, don't forget culture. See, look. The Celtics now have culture. We could officially say that they have culture, the identity on both ends of the floor, where you could just plug guys in and they know their roles and they're going to compete. Like, no one is going to be mad. The effort was there. They were just shorthanded. And look, Milwaukee, we're talking about the defending champs, and they actually had to work. They actually had to work extremely hard to gut this win out. So it was a lot of bright spots. JB out there dropping triple dubs like it's nothing, to that nature. But overall, I think games like this, where people, when we talk about the seedings and things to that nature, but I'm looking at more so the confidence of the others, right? Mm-hmm. You could develop that confidence with guys like Aaron Nesmith, Grant Williams. They can have a certain level of confidence because we all know, and I keep preaching, role players are going to help you win playoff games. It's going to be one role player every game that's going to have a big game outside of JB, JT, and Marcus Smart. It's going to be that other role player to step up and have that, that historical night or career night in postseason.
Especially with Rob Williams out, likely missing at least that first round. Marcus Smart, also a season-high 29 points. So, as of now, the loss drops the Celtics into third place in the East, a half a game back from the Bucks, who still have 2 left to play, as do the Sixers, who, as I mentioned, lost to the Raptors. So, Forsberg, when you look at this, what I take away from tonight, and we've been talking about ducking the Nets, I'm not afraid of the Nets. After seeing the Celtics with this team, without Jayson Tatum, without Al Horford, I ain't scared of the Nets.
No one should be scared of the Nets. And I've been saying this for weeks now, but I get the idea, right? Like, they're the best of the bad teams that you might see. And so there's always going to be naturally, you don't want to have the best player on the court. In that, it would be Kevin Durant, would be the best player on the court in that series. And so, even if you think Jayson Tatum is getting closer to that level, it's still a daunting task. So this just maybe takes that wild card out of it. The Bucks, with one more win, will essentially be able to lock up that number 2 seed. There still is a chance, like if they downshift, that the Celtics could crawl back up. But right now, the Celtics feel like, they feel pretty good about the Bucks being there. And then so for the Celtics, it's just stiff-arming Philadelphia from crawling up from 4, and that's either another Philadelphia loss or a Celtics win, and you're going to be locked into that 3-6 matchup. So, again, there's a whole bunch, everything, like everyone wants to avoid Toronto because of the travel restrictions and all that, and then the Nets being the play-in, so people were leery of the 2 seed. If you think the 3 is the sweet spot, then the Celtics are a little bit closer to that prize.
Yeah. And look, I don't want people to misunderstand me when I say that the Celtics are scared of the Brooklyn Nets. I'm not saying that one bit. I don't believe that the Celtics are scared of anyone. All I'm saying is this. If I'm a head coach, I want to put myself in position, in the best position possible to win the championship. Whether that's me facing up matchups or whatever the case may be, because styles make fights, right? And when you talk about going against a guy like KD and going against even Kyrie Irving, the way that those two guys been playing, even the losses that the Brooklyn Nets didn't have, like, think about this. You almost have to play perfect basketball to beat them. The last time the Celtics beat them, I know it was a blowout towards the end, but Jayson Tatum went for 56. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want that to have to be the point every single time. So all I'm saying is sooner or later you're going to have to face somebody, right, to get where you're trying to go. But it don't have to be in the first round.
The only downside, and I'm sure you're going to point this out, Abby, was the fact that the Bucks now have that 2 seed. If they emerge with it, you have to play them on the road in the second round in the playoffs. So you won't have home court. That does matter. But here's I'll flip that right now, and I'll say the Celtics without 3 starters just went up there and pushed them to the finish line of a game. I think the Celtics would be way more confident now if they had to go on the road, and you feel good about guys like Peyton Pritchard going in there and not being overwhelmed by the moment. So you still pluck some positives from that.
Absolutely. Especially, I mean, that was a playoff-like atmosphere in the fourth quarter. Let's go back and look at it. The Celtics, I mean, took the lead in the fourth, started out the fourth quarter on a 7-0 run, and it was Marcus Smart controlling the game. That's a big 3 by Marcus right there. His 7th 3 of the game to put the Celtics up 1, and then he had a block on Giannis, but
Marcus Smart for Offensive Player of the Year.
Okay. I'm not ready to go that far. Bobby Portis, though, with the 3.
Celtics killer.
Ties this game at 121, and then Giannis. Marcus.
For Defensive Player of the Year.
There, exactly. That I can get behind. Let's do this. Marcus at 19 in the second half, but Drew Holiday with the follow puts the Bucks up 3. And then Tice, great call out of the timeout. Tice just misses the bunny. He gets the PETA award for the night. Jaylen Brown with the turnover, and Tice tried to follow, but it was just too much. The final score, the Celtics fall 127-121. And Perk, we were sitting in here in the studio, and I said, the Celtics once again coming up short in a close game. But tonight had a very different feel. The Celtics, like we said, missing 3 of their starters.
Yeah, absolutely. But they fought. And think about it. The Milwaukee Bucks really had to go out there and compete to get this win. I mean, they had to dig deep, which speaks volumes on the others from the Celtics. Like Chris, you was making a joke and kind of being serious at the same time, because I feel like there's some truth lies inside the jokes at times, right? When you say about Marcus Smart being Offensive Player of the Year, here's the thing. Marcus Smart actually been playing with some great confidence, and Marcus Smart actually been doing pretty damn good on the offensive end. In order for the Celtics, especially, in the first couple rounds without Marcus Smart, how stacked the Eastern Conference is, Marcus Smart is pretty much showing me that he's capable of being that third option type scorer to Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum, which is a great sign for Boston Celtics fans around the world.
Perk, think about this. Since Marcus Smart came back from COVID on January 23rd, the Boston Celtics have the highest offensive rating in the NBA. And we kept saying, like, they have the best defense. But the biggest thing that gives me confidence about this team's ability to compete is that the offense has caught up as well. And so much of that falls back on Marcus Smart. Now, there's been nights like this and in Toronto where he's had to go up a level and take more shots and take on more of that offensive burden. But I'm perfectly fine with the way he's been directing this offense, with the way he finds his own offense. These flashy passes, cutting to the basket, going behind the back. He is just playing with a little flair, a little sizzle. It is clear he has cemented himself as the point guard of this team for this year and deep into the future with the way that he has played. And his confidence is just, it changed everything when he came back. We all like to point to, and I certainly do, Jayson Tatum going up a level, but Marcus Smart has just had this swagger and has quarterbacked this team on both ends of the floor.
100%. The Celtics do not need 29 from Marcus Smart every night. They don't need him to take 16 shots every night.
Unless you need to.
Unless you don't have Jayson Tatum. So I wouldn't call him Offensive Player of the Year, but I do agree with you, Chris. His impact on the offensive end, huge for the Celtics.